Hello summoners, welcome back to another tier list update for the month of April, and the last tier list I made was actually a 22-minute long video. I would like to keep this one short, and I don't think we have that much to talk about. We have two new characters coming in, Sandman and also Shocker, and the buff of Spiderman, and that's pretty much it. We have one change with Domino going one rank up. We'll talk about that, but let's start with the new characters and the latest character. Let's start with him. Sandman, in my opinion, might go lower in the future. I doubt he'll go higher. He has a few flaws, they're pretty big if you ask me. So his long rotation, it's not particularly satisfying damage output wise. Sure, he's able to get some huge red numbers sometimes, but overall, there are characters who are just much simpler to play and have much better reward damage output wise. It does take a lot of build up time. His animations are amazing, right? He's very fun to use that way, but the time you will have to invest to get used to his timings, you need to get a certain amount of charges, like 20 charges to activate his thing. You don't want to get that too early before you get the SP3, so you'll have to throw in some heavy attacks. The heavy, the first hit of the heavy doesn't have the best reach. There are a decent amount of problems I faced while playing him. He has a decent amount of utility, if it's a matchup where there's regeneration, power gain, he can be used very effectively utility wise, but he's still not going to be the fastest. He's not going to be the fastest in any scenario, or even above average, to be honest, damage output wise. I really do believe that at some point he might get slight rework. He does need some more damage if you ask me, but again, first impressions, they're usually right. Usually the characters where they place, they go either just one tier up or down. Not much in that, but there have been characters in the past who surprised the community by a lot, like Tigra or Corvus. Before that, people used to think they're bad and ended up being the best characters of the time, and Tigra still is. But anyways, Sandman, in my opinion, very good looking character. If you are a fan, he's not bad at all. It's just that there are overall 200 plus characters in this game at this point. It's hard to care about a champion who doesn't really bring something that you must have for any scenario. And these days, I feel personally, the only thing that makes me excited about a new champ is whether or not they're good in battlegrounds, because everything else, my roster is kind of set. I don't need a character for regeneration and power gain. But well, if you do, maybe in the future when he's added to the basic pool, he's your first 5-star or 6-star, he can do a lot of things for you. He does check a lot of boxes just for a very developed roster. If you have most of the champions in the game, you have them ranked up, getting a new character ranking up for doing more or less the same thing with less damage doesn't make that much sense to me. But that's not saying he's bad, that's not saying he might never have a use. He has potential. That is why, considering this huge list, he's still relatively high. It's just that compared to a lot of characters, he does lack damage. Now, speaking of being good in battlegrounds, we have Shocker, who, by the way, if you don't care about battlegrounds, I will place him one rank lower. But if you do care about battlegrounds, he is very good, because first of all, the awaken ability, the first special one you use, it takes no power. Very cool. It's very fun to do. And after that, the SP2, the heavy charge, damage you're gonna do, usually I would say for battlegrounds, that's gonna be enough, and that's very quick fighting. There are characters like Cosmic Ghost Rider who you do the rotation, you get the SP2 armor breaks, and that will probably be the fight. And Shocker is not going to be as fast as CGR, but he's going to be faster than most characters in the game, and I do believe he has a lot of value in battlegrounds. Now, for longer fights, he has a long rotation where his cap is increased and you can get a massive heavy attack, but time wise it's not particularly, again, the best. Also, I don't really get characters who are made for who have this long fight rotation where it takes that much build up and you have okay damage, because there's so many characters who who don't require that much build up, and then they finish the health relatively quickly. In damage comparison, Shocker did not do particularly well. That is why I showed two fights, like one against the Deadpool, who has relatively the same amount of health defender in Battlegrounds has, and then against Winter Soldier. And against Winter Soldier, he took a lot of time with SP3 rotation. So overall, I do feel like if you go even higher, like questing wise also, I don't think he's gonna be your go-to champion, just because his damage is not gonna be super well. He's kind of like a tech Gallon, if you ask me, but I don't know. I think Gallon is just stronger, brings more value, is more necessary to have in stuff like Battleground, whereas Shocker, even if you don't have him, I feel like you will be fine, but having him is gonna be good. He is gonna be useful in Battleground. That is how I feel. Do let me know your thoughts on that. And the next up we have Spider-Man. I feel like his buff was kind of underrated, but at the same time, if we compare to the last buff, which was Hulk, you can't really compare him with Hulk, because his buff was just so good, and that is why I feel a few people were disappointed. Also because he's Spider-Man, one of the most famous, most recognizable character of all time, I would say, like comic book character, and a lot of people's favorite, and OG Spider-Man. All people wanted was for him to be like really good in the game. And yeah, he's not the best, but he is again much better than he used to be, that is for sure. He used to be in this category, and from there he went to this, which means he's very usable now. But at the same time, would you rank him up over someone like some other Spider-Man, like Spider-Gwen? Maybe you can consider, depending on the circumstance, what you need. But if you go one tier above, like Spider-Man 2099 on OG Spider-Man, there's no question, you have to rank up Spider-Man 2099. And yeah, that, like, for the most part, Spider-Man is going to be a fun character to play. He is capable of some really good numbers. If you want to check out B McGee's channel, he has a few. I have a few damage comparisons where he does fairly well. I think he was either able to beat Cap Infinity War, or it was like very close damage output wise. And Spider-Man does have a decent amount of utilities. There's slight ramp up and stuff, but overall I feel like his buff was not as bad as some people think. And overall he's like very usable now. So if you have him, if you have like not paid attention to the buff, and he is like you don't have a very developed roster, you might want to look into the Spider-Man buff, because it's pretty decent. Now next up we have Domino. Domino used to be here. We started this list years ago, and Domino at one point was a crazy character. I really dislike the RNG factor of Domino, which is why I took her down. I took her down to here, then I took her down to here, and she was sitting in the Knights category for far too long. The thing is, I feel like Domino was in the meta for a very long time, and she went out of it, and people agreed that the RNG dependence and all is not great. But Battlegrounds kind of revived her, if you ask me. Now, like, because of his defensive capabilities as well, but the fact that she is such a great all-rounder, and when the RNG gods align, she can finish fights fast. And even when you don't get like bad RNG, if you get bad RNG, then yeah, she's not going to be great even in Battleground. But if you even get average, that kind of damage is also enough in the shorter health pool fights that you will be facing in Battlegrounds. So I feel like she established herself as a very strong all-rounder champion who could be used offensively and defensively, which is why she has a lot of rank up value right now. Although this is mostly an offensive list, but still people do use her pretty frequently. And sometimes you get your Domino and the opponent will draft a perfect counter, and then you end up using her offensively. You don't lose much. She is great offensively. I kind of use her a lot of time against Nick Fury, and she does really well. So yeah, that is I think pretty much gonna do it for this one. I did get a few requests to make some changes. I felt somebody said Shabari Panther and somebody said Black Cat to move one tier above. Now personally I feel like I'm fine with where they are for now. I looked at some gameplay. I think I played around with Jabari recently for a comparison video, but overall I feel like they are still pretty high. Like, I think people, they forget that over 200 characters and how competitive it is to even be in the third best category. A lot of these champions bring a lot to the table. You know, you have champions like Mysterio, you have champions like Sentinel, these strong like Scarlet Witch, America Chavez after the buff, Spiderman Supreme, a lot of decent champions, Spider-Ham are here. So I feel like Jabari and Black Cat, they do have potential, they have a lot going on for them, but at the same time they're not as good as the champions here. But if you think otherwise, do let me know. Do let me know with proper reasons why you want me to take them up, and if I agree this time, I will move it in the next month's video. And same goes for any other character. If you feel they're misplaced, do let me know. And that's pretty much gonna do it for this one. I think I kept this short this time, which was kind of the goal. But yeah, like, share, subscribe, stay safe, have a good one, happy weekend, and bye bye.